Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning into our podcast, Grace and the Growth.
What's our mission?
Our podcast, Grace and the Growth, is all about sharing powerful, real, and raw birth testimonies, the kind that leave women feeling empowered, informed, and transformed.
Mm, mhm. Transformed is big for us, yeah. Our mission is to have women on the podcast, let them explain their story from their point of view, not from any outsider's point of view, not from policy point of view or provider point of view or even spouse's point of view, but from the mom's raw and real perspective, just to get it out. We truly believe that there's healing and transformation in just telling your story authentically without an agenda, and we earnestly want to hear women's stories, love on them, see them for the beautiful mother they are. I think while you're telling your own birth story, you learn more. You see it differently, kind of like an outsider looking in. And then us being the outsiders, literally looking in, hopefully, prayerfully, can help moms piece the pieces together, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
We want healing to take place.
right. Yeah. And not necessarily like you did this wrong, you know, this all happened because mom wasn't informed enough. You know, we kind of want to turn it around and like you can do it again, and you weren't broken the first or second or third or however many times your birth didn't go the way you wanted, because I feel like a lot of women, when they explain that their birth didn't go like the way they wanted, shoot, most women don't even want to say that. That they're filled with too much shame. It's like you feel it in your innermost being, like that didn't go like I thought it was going to go, that didn't go how I planned, that feels like it ripped part of my your like purpose, kind of a way, when it doesn't go as planned, because your body knows the way it's supposed to go, and when it doesn't necessarily go that way, it hurts and it causes that deep turmoil and trauma. So many moms are like, I don't even ever want to have kids again because of how that went. And I think that's a lot of our goal, is like we have to turn that around, and if it's through one woman at a time, just telling their story and hearing kind of like, no, that shouldn't have happened to you and it wasn't your fault. That was a lot of yapping. Did that make sense?
That's good. That's absolutely right. Because everything that I have learned from birthing in the system was to doubt myself,
Yeah,
really. It wasn't
right,
until my free birth that I started experiencing what it was supposed to be like, the beauty of giving birth.
right.
Let's kind of get to know you a little bit. Why,
Mm.
what got you interested in birth? What's your background?
Oh man, so super weird. From like a young age, I was obsessed with pregnancy. Like a very young age. I think I saw my first delivery, I was like 10 or something. It was my aunt, and she had an epidural, and she was drugged out of her mind. Like she was like having a good old time. She was like, I don't know what's even going on. Like I don't even feel anything. And like baby came right out, and I was like, this was a little bit not what I've seen on the movies. But I don't know why, from such a young age, I've been like obsessed with women's health. And I don't know where it came from, really. And then throughout high school, like, thought I was going to go to school to be a midwife, and instead went to nursing school and was like, well, we'll just start here. And then quickly in nursing school realized you couldn't, they kind of conditioned you to believe you couldn't go straight into women's health. They wanted you to do like a year or two at least on like the regular medical floors, which sucked. Um it was really hard. Like I did the cardiac floors for a while and then just regular medical like overflow, kind of ER overflow. Um and it was really hard. I got my first labor and delivery job. I had quit travel nursing. I was traveling as a medical nurse and took a massive pay cut to do my first labor and delivery job because I couldn't travel as a labor and delivery because it was a specialty. So I took like this rural PA, um, small hospital, like still like a regional hospital, and primarily like a lot of Amish patients. But what was really difficult about that, and I learned a lot, but I learned a lot about what went wrong quickly. I didn't learn physiological labor. I learned about things that were going wrong because it was primarily Amish patients that would come in after something was already wrong. Because, the Amish community, they're at home with a midwife. So whether or not, like, I don't know the story of, what would happen with the midwife, because it was always such a weird relationship with a hospital and a home birth coming in. It was just a stigma of, like, ugh, see what happens when, ugh. But that, I mean, there's so many different factors that could have played into that, like diet, exercise, their past medical history, but
Or even the midwife.
yeah, or the midwife, like whether it was an Amish midwife or just some turd, that was cheaper or whatever. I have no idea. And I was such a baby nurse at the time, but quickly got experience. Didn't learn any. Did a lot of C-sections, a lot of inductions. But it's still, for this regional hospital, out of all of the places I've been, it was the most natural. Saw a lot of preterm inductions too, which before I knew any better, I just remember being like, this isn't right. Like something about this. We actually had like a big fight against a doctor because he induced a 19 weeker, which all of the nurses, we were all Christian women, and I was like still so new to everything that I was just like, I don't have an opinion because I haven't worked here long enough and I don't know anything about the abortion laws, but they were like fighting it. They were like, this is abortion. Well, the baby had like been diagnosed with, and it was an Amish woman, she hadn't seen any prenatal care, came in for an ultrasound because she felt like something was off. Came in for an ultrasound, and the doctor said that she wasn't going to be viable when she was born. But she was alive on ultrasound, right? So this baby was missing its skull, okay? Its organs was like out of its stomach, liver, all of it. Um, and I was like probably 2 or 3 weeks after miscarrying, my second pregnancy, and we induced this woman, this 19 weeker. I'll never forget it. It definitely, like, I don't know. It was, I also am very grateful, like, that I had witnessed something like that because the way this community, this Amish community and this family, like, honored their baby still. Whereas, like, I think Americans, if they would get a diagnosis like that, they would opt for a C-section or opt to not see the baby, and this 19 weeker came out. Doctor was brutal about it. I remember her ringing the call bell saying she felt pressure because we had her on the Pitocin. I went into the room and two little blue feet were literally like hanging out of her. If we actually air this part, trigger warning. But the doctor literally came in. Ugh. Oh my gosh. He came in and grabbed those two blue feet and just yeeted this baby out. Okay. I mean, brutal. Obviously, the mom was a beast. She just, I don't know, like winced a little bit, and I was assigned baby nurse. So I have my stethoscope and I'm supposed to check the baby for a heartbeat. And when I say it was literally like a mangled mess of like organs. And she didn't have a heartbeat when she came out. Um, but what was so wishy-washy is she had a heartbeat in utero. Like mom could have chosen to carry out the pregnancy had the doctor not been like, we should just induce now. Like, why let this go on? She could have grown, and had 9 months with that baby being safe. And we wiped this baby up, wrapped her in saran wrap, and to, kind of keep everything together and put her in her like Amish gown. She looked like an angel. The only thing that was like normal looking about her were her hands. They were beautiful. Um, so like we got her all, and mom and both sets of grandparents held the baby, loved on this baby, called her angel baby for days. Days, because Amish take their loved ones home to bury them. So they were allowed to take her home. So for multiple shifts, I had to carry this baby back and forth to a freezer, like, so she would not, but they loved her so freaking much and had that closure. And I remember after my shift, like my few shifts in a row were done, and I was, saying goodbye to this mom. I'm bawling, dude, like sobbing so hard. Clearly, I had just miscarried, so like it was really hard. But like, I don't regret going through something hard because that moment, like, I think really exemplified how much I wanted to care for women's health. Like, I remember thanking her, like, this was so hard, obviously. Like, I can't imagine ever going through something like this. But if I ever do, or come across anybody else that needs to, I will always remember how you interacted with your child because it was still your child. Um, and again, if we air this, like, definitely we gotta put a trigger warning on it, but like,
Yeah.
there are so many situations where I think moms don't even get the chance to mourn or grieve or have that closure with any scenario of loss or loss of how they wanted their birth to go or loss of like, you know, bonding with their child. Like baby was taken away, baby was taken to NICU, I didn't get skin to skin, my breastfeeding was ripped away from me. We don't get to like grieve those type of raw moments, and I think a lot of the times it's because like, oh well, at least you and baby are okay.
Yeah, and that's
It's
not
like,
cutting it anymore.
yeah, and even if baby's not okay, like you still have to have that time, that closure. Crazy. But anyway, then I went to travel nursing and went into many different facilities. Um, Bounced around, kept saying maybe it'll be better at this next one because as a travel nurse you could do 8-week contracts and you can do like 13-week contracts. And some of them I just got fed up with, like, it was too many C-sections or not allowed to let a woman labor naturally. I mean, it was so much, so very much. Lost my train of thought just thinking about how much it was.
It's okay, that's good. That it's important. I think that people who have like who are in the medical system begin to understand that maybe it's costing more than it's actually supposed to.
Yeah, and there were some nurses that definitely, wanted to let the woman labor naturally and would help with that, but it comes with backlash. So much so you get let go from travel nurse positions, even when you don't speak up. And I mean, I learned to keep my mouth shut, so I could come home with a paycheck and feed my family. But the financial stability was not worth how much trauma I was having to. I mean, even performing cervical checks on women that are screaming, and I got small fingers. Like, uh, yeah, so many different things, and you could tell that these women just like, especially first time moms, fully were just like, whatever you gotta do, I guess.
That's my heart, really, is I hope that this can help women before they go
Yeah.
through birth because those first time moms are so vulnerable. They have
Yeah.
no idea. Like, even just thinking about, like, thinking back up when I was a first time mom and was going through my first pregnancy, like, I was so dependent on the system. And I thought that it was like a savior, and it's not. It's
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Yeah. And that's what, like, kind of even puts your brain and your body even more at war. We both got pretty wrecked with our first births, huh?
Yep. That's how we're here.
Yeah. I don't know. So maybe we'll do like another episode where we actually like expound on, maybe we could do one like for each, so that, or we could do first birth, second birth, third birth for each of us. Um, just so like we can kind of get each one and kind of like expound on how we know now what we could have done different. Well, I don't know. 'Cause that's so hard because like you obviously can't go back,
Yeah. Nope.
you know.
But we definitely learned something from it. Yeah. And it's about not staying in that like victim mentality because if I had, then I would have never had my free birth. And that is what redeemed so much for me. After my free birth, it's like I got my voice back.
Wow. Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's another part of our mission is like women, we can't stay in that victim mentality. Like they're in order to heal. In order to heal at all, you have to come to the point of recognizing what happened, that it wasn't okay, and have some sort of ownership over it. Like, yeah, before my first birth, even though I did go through nursing school, I mean, I fully depended on somebody else instead of me, my husband, and the Lord. If you're depending on a medical establishment to not get any other outside information, like to not educate yourself at all on physiological labor and just blindly go into it. 'Cause I know that's what I did.
We're not even taught about physiological birth though, because I remember with my first pregnancy, I took the Bradley method course and it taught me a lot. But did I learn about physiological birth? Absolutely not. There
Wow.
was always, moments where I'd be like, okay, well, now your midwife is going to do this. And I was like, okay, so just like it's already engraved into that educational system that a midwife has to be there in order for things to go the way that they need to.
Wow.
And it's beyond false.
Right. Huh. Yeah, we didn't do nothing. I don't even remember if we went to like the hospital birthing class. I I don't know if I was like, nah, that's lame, or if we just didn't go. Just maybe we did go. I don't know. I thought because I was a nurse, like I knew things, and even in nursing school, like we didn't learn. We learned, that the cervix dilates, how to check a cervix, and how to run pitocin, how to set a woman up for an epidural. we didn't even learn, like, our labor and delivery was like this much education compared to like the pharmaceuticals, the surgeries. We learned more about like the C-section tools. Yeah, and babies withdrawing on drugs. We learned a lot about like what kind of drugs you put them on depending on like how you scale them. Um and how to wean them off of like whatever they were addicted to.
Oh, okay, I thought you meant like the epidural because there's narcotics and opioids in the epidural. Or is it both? Is it both?
I don't know. All I know is that we were taught like how you're just scoring them.
The APGAR score?
No, the APGAR score is just like babies' briskness to life. But there's other scales. It's like uh I don't remember honestly. I'll have to come back to you on that one. It's like just another scoring for like the opioid like withdraw. Like if a baby is like withdrawing from opioids, they're usually like, or their cry is more high pitched. Just different things to like look for that we would scale like 0 to 3 or whatever. I forget. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like you forget all this stuff out of nursing school, but like once you get into labor and delivery, there's so many different, they have it posted all over the unit. So like you know exactly how to chart. You know exactly what you're, and Biggie was like watching baby on the monitor. You know how you have those things strapped to you and you're watching mom's contractions, right? Making sure it's not too much, even though it's significantly estimated. And then watching baby's heartbeat along with the contractions, which, man, I could do a whole episode on that too, because like
We will.
it's
We will.
yeah, that's gonna be fun. I'm excited. We'll definitely do episodes where we like dive into each like intervention that is like normalized and then like really bring some actual research to the table too. And real life scenarios too, because like sure you could find a PubMed article, but like a real mom talking about it is
Yeah, she's not funded.
none of this is funded, by the way. PubMed's not paying us.
Nope. Probably be paying us not to do this.
Right. Somebody's, after like 6 episodes, you're gonna be like, please stop. Shut it down. There will be no grace in any growth. No growth or grace. Wow, yeah. So we're gonna have women on that of all sorts of stories and walks of lives and C-sections to free births to even loss. I would love to have women on that um can talk about their loss story, uh and maybe how it could have went differently or what they would have rather done. um because there are some free birthers that have lost too, and then you have that side that like there's still people in the hospital that lose their baby, but did they get a chance to do what they needed to for closure or whatnot in that scenario, versus like a free birther at home. We could have all sorts of women. So if you're one of those women, there's a link in our bio.
Yes. Okay, what else? Should we kind of introduce ourselves? I think that's probably important. We haven't really introduced ourselves.
Oh yeah, right. I guess we could have done that.
Yeah, we probably should have
We'll go,
started
'cause
with that.
I talked about my background in nursing.
My name is Micaela. I'm a mom of 4 babies. Well, they're not babies anymore. You can kind of hear them out there. I have an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, and then a 4-month-old. And I really want to do this to just help women heal and grow and to just change that generational curse that's been over women. It's, I want to see women get free from being entrapped by the birthing system. I stay at home, I homeschool, I'm crunchy. That's about it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. My name's Beth. I also have 4 children. Almost. Wait, almost. I guess I don't count my miscarriage, like my loss, often, but I guess I have 5 children. Um, I'm have my 4th baby growing currently. How old are my kids? 6, 4, and 2. Yes, and then 1 in the womb. Probably August. Everybody's like, when are you due? I'm like, I don't know. Do you know? Because enlighten me. It's such a funny question. Even if I did get scans, which I'm not getting scans this time, this will be my first free birth. Super stoked. And that's how Micaela and I found each other. I saw her story, her awesome video on the Instagrams. It went around to all of the birthing, like, Instagram pages, and I was like, that chick's bad. Beat that. Um, and I also was so intrigued by, like, you were just in your bathroom. There was no, like, twinkle lights and water pool and just your husband praying and prophesying. Oh, it was. I was like, wow, and I don't, wait, how did you, like, because I shared your story, I think, probably once or twice or 3 times from all the pages. But, like, how did you find me? Like, because you literally blew up on the birth world.
Yeah, so I wasn't going to share the birth video because honestly, I'm a very private person. But I shared it with badass mother birther, her videos.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to do this. I just felt like the Lord was like, you have a testimony to share. Share it.
Yeah.
And so I did. And then I had already kind of started a birth page, but it wasn't active. I hadn't posted anything on it. The Lord had just like given me the name of it. And so I made the Instagram page and then I shared it with her. And then people kept on trying to add me on my personal and ask me questions. And I'm like, I don't add people. So I, started on the Flower Power Birth.
Yeah.
I remember towards the beginning of like the Instagram stuff, I couldn't follow or like anything. I think it was
Oh,
because,
yeah.
yeah, they wouldn't let me. I don't know why. And I was like, maybe I should get like like verified. And you were like, don't give them a cent. I was like, all right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's how. And then I just started looking at your stuff and I was like, she's a registered nurse, but she sounds like a lot of the values that I have and the beliefs that I have, especially towards the birth world.
Yeah.
So we just kept
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah. I like my Instagram. It was my personal Instagram at first. And when I started going down the crunchy rabbit hole, I posted a reel that was a trending audio, and it was like the one that's like everything is poison. This is poison, you got to grow your own food. And it was just clips of like my family, like with our first garden and just dumb things. Like it was not, and it blew up. And because of the hate it got, I mean, I had people in the comments that were like, someone call CPS. Like, take away her. I hope your kids are taken from you. One of them said my husband looked like a meth head. Like, the hate, the comments just kept coming and coming. And I was like, I had to literally put my phone away for like 2 days because it was blowing up so much. And I was like, I think I gotta run with this. And I was still a travel nurse at the time, but like it was around COVID, so I had got let go for my first let go. Um, Now somebody's mowing out there. Oh, you guys, that's loud. Turds. Can you hear that? It's so annoying. It's like the neighbor. Shut up! What? You're muted.
I'm sorry. Hold on, let me send you a picture of these goofy pictures that, oh my gosh. These better not be the pictures that show up.
What?
Just look at your phone. Send.
On Instagram or
No, it's on text.
okay.
What is
I don't think those will show up for anything. Oh yeah, my face. Funny. Okay, good. Thanks. Good stuff. I hope that saves. But yeah, so I don't know. Then my Instagram like blew up, and I didn't do birth stuff. I did not. I wasn't even dabbling into that because I was still a labor and delivery nurse, and I wanted to stay a labor and delivery nurse. You know, so I was just merely promoting like holistic healing, and what got me kicked was like ingredients, just the food we eat, you know, and so it just started as like, you know, living naturally, living clean, and detoxing the body, then parasites. And I learned that I could make a little money on the side from it just by sharing links, and I was like, I got to keep going. So it quickly steered out of my personal page to being like, and I was mad that that one got that it got followers. Like I had contemplated starting a new one because I have my kids on there, I have my family on there. Um, but I think it's like it's so far down now that I don't know. Maybe people scroll and they're weird about it, but like I don't want to delete stuff. But then after being fired from a labor and delivery job, I was like, "Oh, it's go time. Now the internet's not going to shut me up." And seeing your stuff like and every all the other Instagram birth pages, like I've seen it. I can't be quiet about it. Like even the Bible tells us, you know, we can't just be we're the salt of the earth, baby. I'm gonna be salty.
It's hard to be quiet once you know, like once you see the abuse taking place, you don't want to be quiet about it anymore
Right.
because it's just going to keep repeating itself. And we have daughters, man. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I got quite a few of them.
yeah,
I'm gonna be pretty
exactly.
jacked if this one's a girl. I'm not gonna lie.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll be all right.
It'll be
We'll just
okay.
have to have another.
That's right.
Yeah, and when you were saying about like how your free birth like was so redemptive, I thought my third birth was so redemptive. And I'm like, now I'm looking back
Me
at it, and I'm like,
too.
that's slimy. Just kidding. No hate, but there were definitely multiple cervical checks. I couldn't even get into the birthing center without being at least 6 centimeters. And like for your third baby, man, I could have, at 6 centimeters, I could have, right there.
I thought so too. I thought with my third, I like raved about my midwives and stuff. And the midwife was actually pretty good. She was still, I would still consider her like a medical midwife, but she really did kind of, apart from rupturing my water, which I asked for. I asked
Well,
for.
yeah, no, yeah.
I did ask for it because once I hit transition, I was like, okay, just give me the epidural. I'm done. And the nurse was like, we can get you the epidural or we can rupture your water. And I was like, I thought about it. I was like, rupture my water. And so the midwife, used a little crochet hook. And my son was actually born with like a tiny little, like, because it's a hook. And I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that was possible, that they could actually like scrape their little head, but it did happen. But when I started to process that birth, I was like, oh my goodness, like right after I had him, maybe not even like a minute or 2 minutes after, the delivery nurse was just like pushing on my uterus. I didn't even,
Oh,
it was horrible.
oh,
Horrible.
and I hated being that person.
It was horrible. And then just after she did it, then I started bleeding a lot. And she's like, we're probably going to have to give you Pitocin. And now after that, I've processed everything. I'm like, maybe if you hadn't have done that and allowed my placenta to detach naturally the way that it's supposed to,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
wouldn't have needed Pitocin, which are, we think Pitocin is just this thing given to stop bleeding, but it has a lot of side effects that
yeah.
nobody tells us about.
Yes,
And we're
yeah.
going to get into that too.
Oh yeah,
Not in this episode, but we will.
right. We got a lot. We got lot of bases to cover, people. Strap in your seatbelts. What else do we talk about for our introduction episode?
How did you meet your husband?
Oh, partying. Hard.
I love it. The
Hard.
pre-Jesus era.
No, not even.
Really?
Yeah, pre-Jesus for him, but not for me. I bounced around with the Lord and still was just a crazy person. When I went to college, like I was deep in with the Lord for sure. My husband was a bad influence on me. And I met this friend who was like my first friend in nursing school, and he went to high school from elementary up with my husband. And he was a flamboyant, vulgar homosexual. And I remember my first ever college class, I had a backpack on, like a little book bag that was like hand sewn by somebody, and it had all the names of Jesus on it, like King of Kings, Lord of Lords. So like I was a target for him. And I remember him being like, "What's up, bitch?" And I was like, "Not much." And he just wasn't expecting it, like to give it back to him. He thought I was gonna be like really offended. And so we hit it off. Like we were best friends. We have matching trash can tattoos on our ankles. And he took me to my husband's sister's house because she was a grade above us in nursing school. Um, and I remember we were partying one night at her house, and there he was, 6'6", looking suave, and he was so funny. He was just like, just a goofball. And I immediately was like, wow. And I had never been with anybody blonde or tall, and he just had this like shaggy, hippie looking blonde hair. And yeah, I don't know. And it was so funny. He like played hard to get all of college. The beginning of our relationship, we were basically just hookups all the time, and we weren't like serious. But I remember being like, "Listen, Bucko, like if you want to get serious with me, I do this thing called church." And I had been volunteering for like a college ministry that was in our college, and I was like, "You should give it a try if you want to pursue me, because like if you're he had told me he was agnostic." And now he laughs. Yeah, he laughs about it. He's like, "I don't even know what that means. I didn't know what it meant then." Like, he says that he believed in, like, knew there was a God, but just was so, like, I'm doing my thing. I'm getting drunk all the time. Like, smoking a lot of weed. Um, and he came to one church service, got saved that day, and the next Sunday got baptized. Yeah, yeah, and from then on, I mean, it wasn't easy by any means, but like I was only a sophomore in college, he was a freshman in college. Um and we just did the ministry together, did life together, got married my senior year of college. It it was very very fast. We were just like just new, like we really don't believe in like soulmates per se, We just like you're the one I'm doing it with. We're gonna choose to do this together. And here we are, a bunch of pregnancies later. Yeah, May 30th will be 8 years married.
Oh. Wait, so what year did you guys get married? 2017?
Yes.
Okay, we got
Yep.
married in 2018.
Nice. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
graduated college in 2018, and then we had our first in 2019.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
it is. It's super cool. Yeah, we love our testimony because like where we came from is Yeah, it wasn't pretty.
Yeah, same. Still same. We
Yeah.
definitely worked through some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it ain't, life is real. And when two
Yep.
people like with separate traumas and separate families, like totally different upbringings. So you expound on how'd you meet your man?
So I was waitressing at this Mexican restaurant and I saw this cute guy. I was like, and I looked over at a friend and I was like, I'm gonna date that guy. And I did.
Wow.
Yeah. Just asked him out. And at the time, I didn't know it, but this girl that I used to occasionally hang out with in high school, that was her brother.
Uh,
And yeah, so we went to high school together and I didn't even know it.
was he older than you?
He was, I think, 3 years older than I was. So,
Yeah.
and then I didn't know the Lord back then. He grew up a Christian, but he was not like, Jesus wasn't Lord of his life.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't. So I didn't grow up drinking or like smoking and stuff, but once I met him, like he introduced some of those things to me. And, you know, he would talk to me. I remember, this is crazy, but I remember he would talk to me about Jesus or something. And I'd be like, what do you mean? Like, you're doing all of these things? Because we were also, you know, doing things we shouldn't have been doing back then. And I just didn't understand like what he was talking to me about. Like I remember we would waitress. Then at the end of the night, he would separate his cash like at his house. And one would be for like drugs, the other one would be for like spending, and then the other one was like tithing. And I was like, I don't
That is
understand.
cool.
Like, yeah. So I feel like that impacted me to where I was like, this is just kind of hypocritical. And then I got pregnant and things just started to change in my heart. I feel like the Lord kind of used the softening of that to
Mhm.
like make his way into my heart because my heart was very hard. And after I had my son, it was like it softened. And his parents are Holy Spirit filled Christians and they started taking me to church. And at first, when they first took me, I was like, I couldn't understand any of what the pastor was saying up there. It was like a different language. Even though he was talking in English, I couldn't understand a single word. I kept going. And then one day it just clicked. It was like I could finally understand what he was saying. Then I gave my life to Jesus. I got baptized, and that was like in 2017. We had our son in 2016. And then 2 years later, my husband started, we weren't married at the time, but he started kind of like changing because he was still kind of stuck in the drugs and the partying and like the pills. And I was like, I don't want that around my son. This has to be different. So then he started, you know, little by little surrendering his life to Jesus. And he's come a long way. We both have.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how we met.
Wow.
We were waiters
Wow. At a Mexican restaurant.
at a Mexican restaurant. Yep.
Solid. Those are my
I
favorite.
also grew up agnostic.
Huh. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't grow up in the church. I would actually go to church with friends, and my dad would be like, you need to be careful with those people. And I was like, Dad, I'm just going for the pizza.
Yeah, he'll make himself known, however he needs to get to you.
Anything else we should talk about?
I don't know. We got an introduction. We got who we are,
How we met our
how we
hubbies.
started, how we met our husbands, how we made babies. No.
I mean,
Context clues, people. Context clues. Here. Thanks so much for tuning in to our first episode of Grace in the Growth. In the meantime, we're definitely going to be praying for the stories that are about to be told, praying over the women before they come forth with their own birth story. If you have a birth story that you want to have on our podcast, please click our link in the bio of our Instagram, or you can email us at graceinthegrowth@gmail.com. Mm-hmm.
So good.
Thanks.